Alright, so we're going to talk about the Trickster Rogue rework from Module 15. The general consensus is they've removed power stacking. That is the best place I can start at. It is as it is. Executioner no longer can stack power. They took it away from Impossible to Catch. They took it away from Courage Breaker, and they took it away from Whirlwind of Blades. So there's been a lot of debate, a lot of negative feedback and everything about the Trickster Rogue changes, but we're going to look into them a little bit, and I'll leave it to you to decide if you hate or love the changes. Something tells me you're going to say you hate them, but we shall see. So first things first is the Shadow of Demise. So let's open this up. So right now, Shadow of Demise gives damage over time to the target after 6 seconds, which deals 75% of the damage that you dealt within the 5-6 seconds that, that power was up, and it's piercing damage. Well, they pretty much took Shadow of Demise and reset it back to what it was. While in stealth, your encounter powers add the Shadow of Demise effect to the target for 6 seconds. That doesn't change. But now it's 50% of the damage dealt to this target is dealt again as piercing damage when Shadow of Demise expires. And then you have the stealth regeneration thing that doesn't matter. But they pretty much reset it back to what it was, so there is no damage over time now. And there is no 75%. It's 50%. So that kind of sucks. Next, we have Press the Advantage. Right now, it increases your power rating by 10%. So nice. But they're like, nah, that's too overpowered. So they reworked it. So now, Impossible to Catch causes your combat advantage damage to increase by 10%. So it's not your power anymore, it's your combat advantage. Which, I mean, combat advantage isn't bad to have, but it's nowhere near as nice as the power was. So that kind of sucks. Next we have Courage Breaker. Where is it? Right here. So basically, this power slowed down your enemies and increased your power temporarily by 25%. And then when you mixed in the power from the Whirlwind of Blades, they just continually counteracted each other, or I should say they fed off each other, and continuously stacked up power, and more power, and more power. That's how it worked. Now, it slows your target by 70% instead of 90%. Fun fact, it no longer increases player power by 25%. Look, even my companion's complaining about that. And now places a 25% damage reduction debuff on the target plus 5% per rank. A damage reduction debuff? Maybe in PvP, but PvE, that's nowhere near as nice as 25% power. I'm just saying. Oops. Does that do? Okay. Now it places a 12.5 damage resistance debuff on the target as well, plus 2.5% per rank, and its duration is now 8 seconds flat in PvP and PvE. So, there's that. Now we have Whirlwind of Blades. Right now, it increases your power for each enemy that you hit. So it has a cap of 5 enemies, and you gain power for each enemy you hit. So again, that's how it worked with the power stacking. Well, now it grants, an 8% outgoing damage for each target hit. That's not bad, but it does take away the power stacking, like I said. So now it gives a buff for outgoing damage, which if you hit 5 targets, 5 times 8 is 40, so 40% outgoing damage. That's not a bad buff. It'll probably still be a good power to use. It just won't pair up with Courage Breaker anymore. So, it sucks, but whatever. And the buff duration has been reduced to 10 seconds instead of 12 seconds, which also sucks. So, yeah, kind of sucks. Next we have Impossible to Catch. It really was only really used because of Press the Advantage, but now that that's going to give combat advantage damage, like a bonus, instead of actual increased power, it's not that useful anymore. And just to make it better, the base duration has been increased to 4 seconds instead of 2 seconds, but the buff duration no longer increases at each rank, so it's still a buff, or a nerf I mean. It's a nerf. So each rank now reduces the cooldown by 2 seconds. I don't know if that's really going to change it, if that's going to even it out, but I think it still sounds like a nerf. So cooldown is increased to 22 seconds instead of 18 seconds. So that sucks. It's an extra 4 seconds. So yeah, it's totally a nerf actually. It now grants 25% damage resistance, which is half of what it used to. It used to give 50%, so that's half. So it's not even as, it doesn't give you that much of a defense buff anymore. It now grants 25% movement speed. That's kind of nice, like, I don't know. If you're trying to do like a quick run of like the cloak tower or something, but nobody needs 25% movement speed, I'm sorry. Then it also gives 100% deflect, which is down from 100%, yeah, down from 20,000% deflect. Is there really a difference? Why was it at 20,000 to begin with? I thought that was just a glitch, but apparently that's something that was intended. Okay. Now, we have my favorite power, Smoke Bomb. I love Smoke Bomb, and I'm very, very sad to see Smoke Bomb burn out. Literally, like a fire that burns out. Bad puns, I know. First and foremost, the damage is reduced by 30%. That's right, it's going to deal 30% less damage. That sucks. Stealth. It no longer slows enemies. That also sucks. The base cooldown is increased to 22 seconds instead of 18 seconds. So again, it's going to take an extra 4 seconds for you to cast that thing down. That sucks. It fixed an issue where Smoke Bomb wasn't correctly reading in a damage table. Damage increased by 8%. I don't know what it exactly means by that. It just said it's reduced by 30%, now increased by 8%. Or maybe it was increased by 8%. Don't ask me. That's just what they wrote. The duration is now 5 seconds at all ranks instead of 2 to 5 seconds based on rank. So that's how long the actual encounter is active for, because it is a damage over time effect. So it's going to be 5 seconds at all ranks now, which that's not bad. You know, for a newer Trickster rogue, that could be very useful. Let's see. So Stealth now grants combat advantage against all enemies in Smoke Bomb. To me, that doesn't make a huge difference because we have this nice little thing up here, Infiltrator's Action, which gives you permanent combat advantage. So that doesn't help anyone. I'm sorry. It doesn't help anyone. Let's see. Smoke Bomb now reduces the cooldown by 2 seconds per rank. I think that kind of negates the fact that they brought up the base cooldown by 22 seconds. Or to 22 seconds. Because now, if you get... that's not important. I mean, it is important. I'm sorry. It's one of my guild members. But, yeah, so it brings it down 6 seconds, because it's 2 seconds per rank. So 22 minus 6 is 16. So it'll actually be 16 seconds. So actually, even though they kind of nerfed that cooldown, they kind of buffed it at the same time. So you know what? That's not too bad. And Smoke Bomb now triggers at the user's feet instead of being 5 feet in front of them. Okay. Interesting. Now we have Duelists Flurry, which kind of has everyone's panties in a bunch. I don't know. The final combination now lasts for 6 attacks instead of 9. That's a little bit of a nerf. The bleed damage is lowered by 40%. However, the bleed chance on each swing has been increased to 100%. So you're guaranteed to do bleed damage on every hit, but the bleed damage has been lowered by 40%. So does that negate it or does that buff it? You decide. I think that's a nerf, but I haven't done testing, so I cannot say. That sucks. Doulas Flurry. Final combinations animation time has been halved, which is related to it lasting for 6 seconds instead of 9 seconds. That's kind of nice. And the final combination of this power, Doulas Flurry, no longer reduces your stealth meter by a large amount. It only uses 70% of your stealth meter, meaning that the whole attack, you can actually use stealth with it. So that's kind of nice, actually, because it does deal good damage when you're stealth. Just saying. Now, last but not least, we have our almighty stealth. Where is it at? That's our shift. Here's our deception, our stealth. So let's see. It now takes 12.5 seconds to build a full bar of stealth, which is up from 10 seconds. Used to take 10 seconds. Now it takes 12.5 seconds. The duration is increased to 6 seconds, up from 5 seconds. So right now it lasts for 5 seconds, but it now lasts for 6 seconds as of module 15. However, anyone that uses stealth, I'm just pointing this out, you use it straight from an encounter power, or maybe Duelists Flurry, or something, but either way, you consume all your stealth right away. So it could last for 3 seconds, and this wouldn't matter. So why they changed it to last for 6 seconds makes 0 sense to me. Maybe it's good for PvP. I'm not a big PvPer, so I don't know, but just saying. Then we have, for PvP, speaking of PvP, Trickster rogues will now be visible to opponents when they deal damage from stealth. There goes every perma-stealth build on the entire planet. I don't know how many people actually still use it, but still, that's a pretty hard nerf to PvP. I think you can work around it though. Powers that do not remove stealth will not reveal the rogue, and damage over time effects, such as Smoke Bomb and Path of the Blade, will not remove stealth. This only occurs while in a PvP mode. That's not too bad. That's kind of giving Trickster rogues the upper hand for AoE and damage over time. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. I don't think that'll hurt PvP too much. Let's see, last of our stealth changes. Yeah. Taking damage no longer interrupts stealth regeneration. Okay. But taking damage now halves stealth regeneration for 2 seconds instead of stopping it for 3 seconds. So at least you can still steadily increase stealth for the entirety of combat. So you can use stealth more frequently now, which isn't, that's not bad. That's kind of a buff. I'll take it. I'm happy with it. I'll take it. Although it does take longer to build it up, but at least you have that opportunity to build it up. Because before, if you were doing something solo, for example, there was no way to rebuild your stealth except from using a daily power or using, what power is it? Shadow Strike, or if you were a Saboteur and you used your one with the shadows. That's it. But yeah, so those are the major changes. Let's look into the interesting changes. So we're going to start with our Executioner Feats. They are changing Death Knell, which is this one? That's Last Moments. A contest. Oh, this is Death Knell. So right now, you deal 25% more damage to foes below 30%. Well, they've decided to change it to you deal 20% more damage to foes below 50%. Kind of sounds like a buff. I'm just saying. Yeah, you deal more damage, but you have that 50% HP mark that you do it from. So that's double the duration while only losing a third of the power you're dealing. Just using logic here. Last moments. So now you deal 20% more damage to foes as their health decreases, and this bonus is doubled while in stealth. So this is kind of working around a lot of stealth, which is kind of interesting. But, yeah. I don't really have much to say about that. It has now, like, 40 to 70%. But this, it's not very clear. It just says as their health decreases. So that would take some serious testing to really see what it means by that. But it's cool. And which one? Shadowborn. So right now, when you enter stealth, your next encounter or daily power deals an additional 35% damage as physical damage. Forget that. Now, after entering stealth, your next encounter power, so only encounters, deal 75% of its damage over the next 4.5 seconds. So kind of like a damage over time effect, with 75% of its damage. Again, can take some testing. Already talked about Shadow of Demise. Let's move on to Scoundrel, which I believe it's the Scoundrel tree. Is it the Scoundrel or was it the Saboteur? That I thought kinda... Let's see, let me read for a sec. I think it's the Saboteur that I found very interesting. But we'll talk about the Scoundrel. So Skullcracker has been reworked. Every 15 seconds you gain Skullcracker, which causes your Atwell or encounter power to daze an enemy for 3 seconds and apply a mark to them for 6 seconds. The duration of this mark is increased by 0.5 seconds each time you deal damage to a maximum of 4 bonus seconds, so it can last for 10 seconds total. While marked, enemies take 25% more damage from your attacks, and your powers deal damage to them as if they were controlled. I found that very interesting because it's not a bad buff. It's not bad at all, considering it. So, 10 seconds of every 15 seconds, you gain this effect, the Skullcracker effect, which causes you to deal 25% more damage. And your powers deal damage to them as if they were controlled. Which, that could be interesting with some set bonuses, but I don't think it will make that much of a difference, that part. But it is interesting. Then we have Mocking Gesture, which I don't think that's... Oh, it does exist. So entering stealth increases your deflection chance by 10%. They said, no, this sucks. And they have reworked it so that it increases your deflection chance by 5%, stacking up to 20 times. That's a lot of deflection. However, deflecting an attack resets this bonus and causes you to basically hit your attacker, dealing 200% of your weapon damage as physical damage. So it has damage now, not just deflection. That's kind of cool. Savage Blows. That's low blows. Where is Savage Blows? Right here. So Savage Blows right now increases your lifesteal by 1% for 3 seconds, stacks to 5 times. Not very interesting. But now it deals damage to foes and increases the damage of your powers by 1% for 4 seconds. It stacks up to 10 times, up from 5. So it no longer grants a lifesteal bonus. It gives a damage bonus to your powers instead of lifesteal, and it stacks up to 10 times. And then when at maximum stacks, you gain an additional 5% damage. So that in itself, you take 1% and you stack it up to 10 times, so that's 10%. And then at max, you gain an additional 5%. That's 15%. Now, my question is, does each stack last for only the 4 seconds? Or if you continuously attack, do all those stacks reset to 4 seconds? Like, I'm trying to think. What's that insignia bonus? I don't remember. Oh, Protector's Camaraderie. For this, let's see, it stacks 4 times for 10 seconds, but if you keep attacking, all the stacks reset to 10 seconds, so it's a permanent buff. So it would be interesting to test out if Savage Blows is like a permanent 15%, or is it just, you know, the 4 seconds. It would be interesting. Now we have Master and Fighter, which, aside from today, I've never heard of this feat. That's how useless it's been. Take 10% less damage from attacks. We're not tanks, we don't need that. But they decided to rework it. So dealing damage to foes increases the damage of your powers by 1%. Oh no, that's the wrong one. We want Master and Fighter. Deflecting an attack grants you the reversal buff for 6 seconds. Reversal causes you to deal 10% more damage and take 10% less damage from the target whose attack you deflected. So 10% more damage, again, that's not bad. Scoundrel actually is kind of been turned into a DPS tree, so it could be viable. I'm not saying it would be best, but it could be viable. If you play it right as it is right now, it can be on par with Saboteur. So with these buffs, it could outperform the Saboteur tree. I'm just saying. But let's take a look at Saboteur, because Saboteur has a surprise in effect, which I found extremely interesting. So let's take a look at it. One with the shadows. So one with the shadows, every 15 seconds you gain one with the shadows effect. This causes your next encounter power to refill your stealth meter. Then for 15 seconds afterwards, your damage is increased by 30%. I think that's just how it is now. Oh, it's 20%. And it's only your encounter power. So that has changed, actually. It lasts longer. It's for all your powers, and it's 30% instead of 20. That's not a bad buff. That's actually pretty nice. I could work with that. Shadowy Opportunity now causes you to gain Shadowy Opportunity for 5 seconds after leaving stealth. Okay, so Shadowy Opportunity is, which one? This one. Yeah. Now causes, so this one, right now, when you deal damage from stealth, you deal an additional 50% of your weapon damage as piercing damage. So that's only from stealth. So that is not one that is commonly used. However, they've reworked it, and to me it sounds a little bit like another Shadow of Demise, which I find very, very interesting. So let's read. It now causes you to gain Shadowy Opportunity for 5 seconds after leaving stealth. So it's 5 seconds, not 6 seconds. But while active, your attacks deal an additional 50% weapon damage as piercing damage. So there's that piercing damage, 50%, and yeah, that's while it's active. It's interesting. So Shadowy Opportunity, it no longer procs on every hit of Doulas Flurry, now only procs on the first and last hits, which it's still not bad. It's really not bad at all. So it's not exactly a Shadow of Demise, but it is similar, and when you mix it in with the one with the shadows, it could make the Saboteur tree very powerful. Just my opinion, but kind of is what it is. Then we have Gutterborn's Touch, which is this one right here. So this one is only when you're behind your target. Now it is dealing combat advantage damage to an enemy, increases your armor penetration and damage dealt by 10%. Remember how I mentioned earlier that we have permanent combat advantage thanks to Infiltrator's action? This thing's going to be really nice because you're always dealing combat advantage damage, so you're always going to have 10% damage increase and a 10% increase to your armor penetration. So you can have a little bit less. Not bad at all. Those are the feats. Those are the major ones that they have listed anyways. Now we have our class feats, which are different. Those are the tree, paragon, paths, and everything. These are the actual feats. So we're going to start with Oppressive Darkness. The damage increased, your damage is increased by 39%. Straight off the bat. Not bad. But it will now only proc on the first and last hits of Doulas Flurry instead of every hit. It's not bad. It's when you have combat advantage, your powers deal additional piercing damage to the target. So now that power stacking is kind of out of the question, Invisible Infiltrator, I presume, is still going to have its uses, but it makes Oppressive Darkness a little more viable for those who maybe want to switch it up or test it out. Who knows? Dagger Threat, which is part of the Whisper Knife pathway? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Whisper Knife. So I can't actually show you what it does now. But you deal up to 7.5% more damage with ranged attacks based on how close you are to your target. You will receive the maximum benefit from this target when within 20 feet of the target. So it kind of gives me a Hunter Ranger vibe. We're not ranged. We're always close. It's a little confusing. Not confusing, it seems kind of useless. But whatever. And you now gain up to 2.5% more damage per rank. Again, still kind of sucks, but it might be nice if you want to try Whisper Knife. But yeah. Last but not least, we have Skillful Infiltrator. So the base run speed is increased to 7.5% at rank 1, increased from 5%. Run speed per rank reduced to 2.5% from 5%. And deflection chance and critical chance increased to 2% at rank 1, up from 1%. So it's okay, but it still doesn't make it any better or any worse. It is what it is. Let's look at our daily powers. Bloodbath. This power now deals damage over 2 seconds, which is down from 2.7 seconds. Now deals damage 9 times, down from 10 times. So they kind of nerfed it, but not by a lot. I don't know how that affects PvP, but it doesn't sound like anything too terrible. We have Blade Flurry, which this one has also caught my eye because it may be a really good replacement for Impossible to Catch, because Impossible to Catch is going to be rendered useless at this point. So Blade Flurry might actually be a good option. It says, so it's been reworked. This power can be used up to 4 times before going on cooldown. If you haven't used the power in the last 20 seconds affected by recharge speed, then the 4 times counter will automatically reset. Its damage is increased by 43%. Recharge time is increased to 20 seconds, up from 16 seconds. AP gain from this power should now be on par with other encounter powers. It's been significantly increased, and it fixed an issue where this power could be cast an additional 1 to 2 times. So, I mean, it may not be that bad. I'm just saying. Impact Shot. Charge refill time lowered by 8 seconds, down from 11 seconds. Not that exciting. Looking back at Whisper Knife, we have Disheartening Strike. It's been reworked. The damage debuff has been reduced to 6%. Damage debuff per rank has been reduced to 2%. Now increases damage you deal to the target by 6%. Interesting. Now increases damage you deal to the target by 2% per rank. Even more interesting because that'll be 12% total. Which it says now increases damage you deal to the target by 6%. Does that mean just for the at-will or does that mean overall? Because that could be a nice buff. Just saying. Duration reduced to 12 seconds, down from 15 seconds. Now deals damage every 2 seconds, up from 1.5 seconds. And a new feature, now deals minor damage when first applied, about 1 tick's worth of the damage over time. It sounds like a buff, but it sounds like a nerf at the same time. I'm not going there. The almighty gloaming cut that they keep making changes to, and nobody ever uses it. But it does sound interesting. So its damage is increased by 25%. Charge time reduced to 25 seconds, down from 7 seconds. So this will make the power cast 45% faster. My main problem with this power is it's so slow, but I have heard it can deal good damage. Could it be a replacement for Doulas Flurry? I don't know. Like I said, I haven't tested anything, so this is just based off reading and speculation. So that's that. Where were we? Execution damage increased to 100% at rank 1, up from 25%. So this is the same as the old rank 4 value. Execution damage no longer increases at each rank. Stealth gain on kill no longer increases at each rank either. 20% down from 35% at rank 4. And a couple new features to it. Now increases stealth regeneration by 7.5% for 8 seconds. So it's a stealth regeneration over time. And now increases the stealth regeneration amount by 2.5% per rank. So that's 15% for 8 seconds. That's not bad. That's not bad, actually. Not that bad. Will it still be viable? I don't know. We'll see. Now we have Cloud of Steel. Maximum stack count increased to 10, up from 8. Base damage increased by 12%, so it got a little bit of a buff. Nothing major. Sly Flourish. Broken armor debuff reduced to 4%, down from 10%. And broken armor debuff now stacks up to 3 times for a total of 12%. Not that major of a change. Those are the major changes. There's a lot more changes if anyone would ever be interested in these. But honestly, these are powers that I don't think I would even considering based on what I'm reading. So, yeah, kind of sucks is what it is. But, yeah. I won't read the rest because, yeah, but I'll leave a link in the description to the actual forum post if you want to read what is posted there. But, yeah, there's quite a bit. Other powers changed include Bait and Switch, Blitz, Vengeance's Pursuit, Shadowy Disappearance, Death Strike, Hateful Knife, Sneak Attack, Talisman of Shadows, Advantageous Position, Sneaky Stabber, Distracting Knife, Exposed Weakness, Gritting Steel, Blood-Soaked Blades was moved to the Executioner tree and is no longer under Saboteur, and returned to the Shadows. Then Survivor, Concussive Strikes, Low Blows, Twisted Grin, Blood-Soaked Blades now under the Executioner tree, and Exposed Weakness was moved to the Saboteur tree. Yeah, but those are all the other powers that had changes made to them, but nothing that would make them like, oh, maybe we can do something with that. Nah. Anyways, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. And if you have questions, comment. If you think I missed something important, comment. I will admit I didn't read everything. I kind of just skimmed through what seemed to be the most important. So I may have missed something. So if I did, just comment below. I'll be putting a lot more videos regarding a lot of different aspects about Module 15 because there is a lot of changes coming involving professions, classes, mechanics, things like that. So I will be doing more videos about it. So subscribe if you're interested. And yeah, I guess that's it. Let's take our victory jump down here and we'll be out. There's the wolf. Oh, I should have saved that. There. And we're good to go. Apparently we're not good to go. Not gonna kill me? It is. Ah, let's just revive. I didn't think that would kill me. And off we go. So thanks for watching, and yeah, stay tuned for more. Ciao.